Imagine sitting in a courtroom when suddenly a bombshell audio recording drops featuring none other than Diddy, Will Smith, and Meek Mill. Gasps fill the room, reporters scramble, and the internet explodes. What exactly was said in those tapes that shook the trial to its core? Are these celebrities truly involved, or is this a masterfully orchestrated smear campaign? As a result of a shocking change of events, the courtroom was left in a state of shock as audio recordings that were purportedly made by Sean "Diddy" Combs, Will Smith, and Meek Mill were presented as evidence in the ongoing prosecution against Combs. The trial, which is centered on severe claims such as racketeering and sex trafficking, has captured the interest of the general public, and the appearance of these recordings has exacerbated the scrutiny that is surrounding the case. There have been a number of shocking developments that have occurred throughout the course of the trial against Sean "Diddy" Combs. The release of audio recordings that supposedly feature Combs in compromising settings with high-profile persons, including as Will Smith and Meek Mill, has been the most shocking example of any of these allegations. These recordings were provided by the prosecution in order to provide evidence that provides support for allegations that Combs was involved in illegal activities and to illustrate a pattern of behavior that is consistent with the charges that he is facing. The recordings were stated by the prosecutors as being essential to the process of building a timeline of events that allegedly featured parties thrown by Combs where illegal activity took place, as revealed by the transcripts used in the court proceedings. The defense, on the other hand, raised concerns about the authenticity and origin of the cassettes, alluded to the possibility of digital alteration or tampering with the recordings. Following the public publication of the audio recordings, Will Smith promptly issued a statement in which he categorically denied any involvement with the activities that are being alleged to have been carried out by Combs. During a live event in San Diego, Smith addressed the rumors head-on by saying, "I don't have to do with Puffy." This statement was made in response to the rumors. He highlighted that he had never been to any of Combs' infamous freak-off parties and added in a comical manner that he did not even like baby oil, referring to goods that were supposedly discovered during federal raids on Combs' houses. The unfiltered comments made by Smith were greeted with applause from the audience, and he reaffirmed his determination to distance himself from the incident. Despite the fact that Smith's swift answer was not able to completely remove his name from the headlines, experts of the media highlighted the fact that it was successful in reorienting the narrative. Following the dissemination of the audio recordings, Meek Mill also found himself embroiled in the controversy that ensued. According to the rapper, the recordings are part of a smear campaign that is intended to destroy his name. In order to underline his independence, Meek Mill made the following statement: "They manipulated these devices so badly, I'm not with them." It was also alleged by him that bots were being used to put together a plot against him, and he urged his followers to question the veracity of the material that was being disseminated on the internet. As much as it was a defense of his innocence, the rapper's public response was also a broader condemnation of the ways in which digital tools might be weaponized in the court of public opinion. Due to the fact that the audio recordings were being shared on the internet, suspicions concerning their legitimacy started to emerge. Based on the findings of the investigations, it was determined that the recordings could have been faked or taken out of context. According to a number of accounts, the recording was initially produced as a joke, but it was later repurposed to appear as though it contained incriminating information. A further cast of doubt on the legitimacy of the tapes is provided by technical analysis and voice comparisons, which imply that the recordings may have been modified in order to falsely incriminate Meek Mill and also other individuals. A significant amount of attention is currently being paid to voice synthesis and deepfake technologies as potential tools that can be utilized to generate content that is believable yet wholly fictitious. It was the introduction of the audio recordings that had a significant impact on the processes that took place in the courtroom. Given the uncertainties surrounding the validity of the recordings, legal professionals discussed whether or not they should be admitted into evidence. On the other hand, the prosecution claimed that the recordings were symptomatic of a larger pattern of misbehavior by Combs, while the defense argued that the recordings were untrustworthy and should not be treated as evidence. In the end, the judge decided that the tapes might be presented, while at the same time providing the jury with some cautionary instructions on the contentious nature of the recordings. It was pointed out by legal analysts that even while the tapes might be sensational, their value as evidence in court is entirely dependent on their legitimacy and the context in which they were found. The instantaneous and fervent reaction of the general public to the audio recordings was seen. On various social media sites, there was an overwhelming amount of conversation, memes, and debates pertaining to the ramifications of the tapes. The tapes received millions of views across a variety of media, and hashtags that were associated with the controversy were highly popular all over the world. As a result of the media frenzy, the judicial proceedings became even more convoluted, as prospective jurors and witnesses were subjected to extensive coverage and conjecture. Legal scholars have expressed concern about the difficulties that may arise in the process of keeping an unbiased jury in a case of such high profile, when public opinion is being influenced in real time by viral content and narratives presented in the media. In addition, the heightened scrutiny has put pressure on law enforcement and the judicial system to proceed with caution and transparency. Following the incident, a more comprehensive investigation into the culture of the music industry, as well as the actions of its most famous figures, has been initiated. Questions have been raised regarding the prevalence of wrongdoing inside the industry as a result of the charges that have been made against Combs, as well as the involvement of other high-profile artists. For the sake of preventing future abuses of power, numerous individuals, including industry insiders and fans, are advocating for enhanced accountability and transparency. For a long time, celebrities have been sheltered from scrutiny by the use of non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, private parties, and personal security details. However, this trial has recently broken apart the curtain that frequently surrounds their life. In light of the escalating discoveries, it has been claimed that record labels, talent agencies, and media businesses are examining their internal protocols and the connections amongst their employees. Conversations are also taking place between fans and artists regarding the ways in which famous people and powerful people intersect with ethical duty. It is possible that the public has an insatiable appetite for controversy, but their yearning for justice and reform is also as abundant. Advocacy groups have taken advantage of the current situation to advocate for legislative changes that would improve the protection of young artists and bring to light techniques that exploit them. It is true that the revelation of audio recordings that purportedly involve Diddy Combs, Will Smith, and Meek Mill caused the courtroom to be rattled. It is impossible to deny the influence that these tapes had on the trial and how the public viewed it, despite the fact that their validity is still being questioned. As the legal procedures continue, the music industry and its audience are forced to struggle with the disclosures and the consequences that they have for the future. There is no doubt that the trial has evolved into something more than a legal conflict. Rather, it has become a cultural reckoning. The story serves as a cautionary tale about the hazy lines that exist between criminality and notoriety, truth and fabrication, power and accountability. Throughout the course of the case, everyone's attention is focused on the courtroom, where the distinction between justice and spectacle continues to become increasingly hazy. Don't miss a moment of this unfolding drama. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to know every time a new twist drops in this explosive case.